We have gathered our first roundtable of 2025. We are ready to go. Joining us this morning, as you can see, Democratic political analyst Marianne Marsh and Republican political analyst Rob Gray. Happy New Year. At what point, I ask you this question every year, at what point do you stop saying Happy New Year?
Next year?
The 7th.
The 7th? Okay, the
One
7th. All right, so we're close, but we're not there yet. You heard the Senate president, as she said in the chair this morning. Let's talk a little bit off the top about media coverage of the legislature. She says, and so does the House Speaker, by the way, that it's constantly negative. Gee, Marianne, does that sound like us?
I'm shocked.
Shocked?
No, I mean, the good news here is I think the legislature has done a lot of good things this year, and you heard Senate President Spilka talk about a few of them, but they have a better opportunity to now sell it. So they need to get out there, tell everyone what they've done, and tell them what they're going to do. And you have to do that year round now. Every year, every day, every week, you need to be filling the vacuum, because if you don't, someone else is going to do it for you. And in the era we live in now, where everyone's on a phone, a screen, all that stuff, you have to.
You know, Rob, that's the point, because there are ways to get the information out there. There are multiple ways. The media is not the only way.
No, you can't blame the media for, going down to the last minute and then the media covering that. She's saying the media doesn't cover the good policy stuff. That's somewhat true. There used to be more policy coverage of that, but at the same time, good stuff to the legislature is spending more, and they should probably be happy the media isn't covering their spending more.
So the Senate president did say she's going to push for rule changes to hopefully increase transparency. We asked her specifically about opening the legislature's books to the open records law. She said she'd look at it. Honestly, a lot of this sounds like tweaking around the edges. They can do more, certainly, Marianne, can't they?
Yeah, and I think they will. I think they're going to.
But open records?
Well, let's see. I mean, again, they have a good story to tell. They need to tell it. I think the interesting thing here is when you read the coverage, you think that everyone hates the legislature. But if you look at the election results, the number of people who voted for president at the top of the ballot, reps and senators at the bottom of the ballot, it's less than a 1% difference. Those people, reps, senators, president, get the most votes in Massachusetts, and others don't.
But Rob, do you think they could kind of do a runaround of the auditor if they just open their books?
Well, sure.
Because her argument is, well, this is all behind closed doors and no one knows what's going on. But if they said, look, here's everything, then they don't have to go through her audit.
I mean, they don't want to. That's the bottom line, right?
So, right?
I mean, that the governor, the legislature, should be subject to the Freedom of Information Act. They're not. And we're behind many other states in that.
Speaking of the governor approved some big legislative pay raises for 2025. Her total compensation, which, by the way, includes an annual housing stipend, will go over $300,000. Members of the legislature getting a more than 11% bump. 11%. I don't know how many people out there have gotten an 11% raise in 2025. It just doesn't happen that much in the private sector. So what's going on here, Marianne?
It's the law.
It's the law.
That's the answer. It's the law. There are two separate increases that are demanded every 2 years. You use two different sets of data. Charlie Baker did it. One is in the Constitution, since we're talking about separation of powers here, and the other is in law. And when you look at it, one's on median income, one is on wages. Those are two different things. So Maura Healey's doing the same thing Charlie Baker did.
When Charlie Baker did it, it was half what Maura Healey's recommended. So they're using the data, but over 4 years, he was never above 6%, sometimes down at 4%. This is 11%. So Maura Healey should have to answer for it more than she has.
It's based on data, facts. Facts are stubborn things. Data is data. Massachusetts has the second highest median income in the country. It's all pegged to data. This is not political. So if people don't want to take the increases, they don't have to. Charlie didn't take it. Polito didn't take it. Galvin didn't take it. Don't take it.
Nobody's
but that's the law.
It. I'm waiting for a Democrat to stand up and not take it. The problem
Galvin didn't.
Well, okay, Galvin,
we
don't know about this
previously,
one.
Correct. But
well, let's
it's
see if
the law.
Let's see if the auditor, let's see if the governor stand up and don't take this one.
Yeah.
All right, Democratic political guru James Carville wrote an opinion piece for the New York Times last week. He said defeat in the election came down to one thing: the economy. Stupid. Not to you.
No, I know.
That's his catchphrase.
It might be appropriate.
Yeah, so he says Democrats have flat out lost the economic narrative. He thinks the gains that President-elect Trump made on economic issues could also be his weak spot. Is he right? I mean, here you have a candidate who won in Donald Trump, who was supported by working class voters all across this country. Yet a lot of the people you see being appointed to positions, Rob, frankly, are billionaires.
Sure. Listen, I think it's revisionist history a little bit from Carville. If you saw during the campaign,
Yeah, he thought Harris was going to win.
And he also pointed to some of the cultural issues. But yes, the economy was part of it. Inflation was huge. Joe Biden put trillions of unnecessary federal spending out there that increased inflation. But the other two things were really the open borders policy, which led to a lot of illegal immigration and the problems associated with that, and the left and Kamala Harris pushing wokeness and politically correct language policing and other policies instead of things that Americans cared about more. So it's more than the economy, but inflation was a big factor.
Well, I mean, the fact is, for the second time in his lucky little life, Trump is going to inherit the best economy ever. One from Obama, one from Biden. And he campaigned on what a great economy he's going to have. He said he would reduce the cost of living, inflation, and all of it on everything. And he stood up there with cereal and everything else. And the minute after the election he had a chance, he's like, you know, once prices go up, they're hard to get down. So he's going to back off of that and blame everyone but then. And then he adds tariffs and he's going to tank our economy. That's the fact.
We continue on the record. Stay with us.